All right, so you're thinking about opening a restaurant in New Jersey, huh?
Always exciting to hear about someone with that entrepreneurial spirit.
It is. But New Jersey, it's a unique beast, right?
It really is.
And that's why we're here to give you a kind of a behind-the-scenes look at what it really takes, especially financially, to make that dream a reality.
That's what we're here for.
So we'll be diving deep into the numbers, the challenges, the potential, all that good stuff, so you can go into this with your eyes wide open.
Because in the restaurant business, passion is essential,
Yeah.
but it's only part of the equation.
Exactly.
Understanding the financial side, especially in a market like New Jersey, that's what's going to set you up for success.
Couldn't agree more. Now, I'm guessing one of the first questions on your mind is, okay, how much can I actually expect to make?
Right.
Everyone wants to know that.
Of course, is the million-dollar question. And the truth is, the answer, at least here in New Jersey, it's a bit of a mixed bag.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We're looking at a potential salary range from, say, around $50,000 a year on the lower end
Okay.
to well over $150,000, even pushing $200,000 on the higher end.
Wow. Okay, so what accounts for that huge difference? What makes or breaks someone trying to hit that higher end, do you think?
Well, there are a lot of factors that come into play, but one of the biggest is the type of restaurant you're looking at.
Right, because a bustling fast food joint versus like a fancy fine dining experience, those are two totally different beasts.
Totally. Think about it this way. Your fast food, quick service type places, they're all about volume.
Yeah.
High customer turnover, lower prices, you're making it up in sheer number of orders. Those folks typically see earnings in the $50,000 to $80,000 range annually.
Okay, so then you move into like a more casual dining kind of experience. What are we thinking there?
So casual dining, you're striking a balance, right,
Mm-hmm.
between quality and affordability. Might not have the same volume as a quick service place, but you're charging a bit more per dish. We usually see earnings for those restaurants fall somewhere between $70,000 and $120,000 per year.
Gotcha. And then there's fine dining, the white tablecloth, big ticket experience.
Now, that's where things get really interesting. The potential there, it's significant. You could be looking at upwards of $100,000, even exceeding $200,000 annually.
Wow.
But, and this is a big but, it comes with higher stakes, right? Higher risk.
Right.
You're not just serving food at that level, you're creating a destination.
An experience.
Exactly.
Gotcha. So you got to really know your market if you're going to go that direction.
Absolutely. Which brings us to another critical piece of the puzzle, and one that's especially relevant in New Jersey, and that's the cost of doing business here.
Right, because it's no secret that New Jersey isn't exactly easy on the wallet. And those costs, I imagine, they can impact everything, right? Rent, ingredients, the whole nine yards.
Everything. New Jersey has a higher than average cost of living, and that trickles down to every facet of running a restaurant.
So like if a restaurant in, say, Ohio and a restaurant in New Jersey, they both have the exact same menu and they're even doing the same volume of business, the one in New Jersey could actually be seeing less profit just because those operating costs are higher.
You got it. Things like property taxes, for instance, those are notoriously high in New Jersey, and guess what? Those costs, they get factored into your rent, your utilities, even the price of ingredients from local suppliers.
It's like this domino effect.
Exactly. And then, on top of all of that, there's another layer to consider, which is seasonality.
Oh, right. The Jersey Shore effect.
Exactly.
You've got places where you can't even get in the door in the summer, and then come wintertime,
Ghost town.
it's empty.
It's a real phenomenon that impacts a lot of restaurants in New Jersey. You've got these intense peaks and valleys in revenue that you need to be prepared for.
It's not just about creating a fantastic restaurant. It's about creating a sustainable business model,
Oh,
right?
well.
And that's a whole other ballgame.
That's exactly right. And that's ultimately what we're here to help you understand. Because at the end of the day, informed decisions, those are your best tool for success. You know, you talk about sustainability, that's not just about like where your ingredients are coming from.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, it's about the whole business model.
You got to be able to weather the storms, especially in a place like New Jersey, right?
Absolutely.
And I think one of the best ways to learn, honestly, is from those who've gone before us, right?
100%.
Both the cautionary tales and then the ones who are like knocking it out of the park, because you can learn a lot from both, I think.
Absolutely.
So let's start with maybe a bit of a cautionary tale.
Okay.
And this was a case that involved it was a family-owned diner, real classic, like beloved neighborhood spot.
Okay.
And they were doing decent numbers, you know, they were pulling in about $400,000 a year in revenue.
Okay, not bad.
But here's the thing, their profit margins, razor thin, like under 2%.
Oof. That's rough.
Yeah.
What was the issue there?
Well, I mean, this was a case where, like, they were serving up a lot of nostalgia,
Right.
but they weren't really seeing the financial rewards for all of their hard work.
Yeah. It's tough because running a restaurant, I mean, that is a labor of love for sure.
Oh, totally. So in this case, like, what were some of the specific things that they were maybe doing wrong or could have done better?
So it seemed like for them, it was a bit of a perfect storm. They had a prime location,
Okay.
which is great. Everyone wants that high traffic kind of,
Busy street corner.
Exactly. But that also meant their rent was sky high, so it was eating up a big chunk of their revenue right off the bat.
It's that classic location dilemma, right?
Yep.
You need the foot traffic, but you don't want to be crippled by that overhead.
Absolutely. And it's a tough balance to strike.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it seemed like they weren't necessarily managing their labor costs as efficiently as they could have been. They had a lot of staff, even during their slower periods, which meant they were spending money on wages when they weren't really, making it up in sales.
Right, because that's something you can kind of control a little bit more.
Right. It's something you have to.
Yeah.
You have to stay on top of it.
And then it seemed like, and this is something that happens a lot with these more kind of established places.
Yeah.
They're not really keeping up with the times, marketing wise. They were relying a lot on word of mouth, which, that's great.
It's great. It's the best kind of advertising, honestly.
It is.
But it's not enough.
Especially now.
Especially now.
You got to have that online presence.
You need it, and you've got to engage, social media.
Yeah.
All of that factors in.
All right, so that's kind of one end of the spectrum. Let's shift gears a little bit
Right.
and talk about this was a fine dining establishment, very, very different kind of story.
Okay.
This one's in Atlantic City, and they had actually a very different trajectory. They had a lot of success initially, but then things took a turn.
Oh, interesting.
So in their first year, they were on top of the world. They were pulling in over $1.2 million in revenue.
Wow.
But then year 2, revenue plummeted by 30%.
Oh, no. What happened there?
Well, this is a good example of how, even if you have a strong start, you got to keep that momentum going. And in their case, it was a combination of things.
Okay.
One, overexpansion.
Oh.
They got a little excited, opened a second location before the first one was really, truly stable. So they spread themselves a little thin.
Right. So the resources are now, having to be divided.
Exactly. And then on top of that, their financial oversight maybe wasn't as tight as it could have been.
Okay.
So you start getting into okay, food costs, labor costs, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Starts to add up.
It snowballs, right.
It snowballs fast. And then if that wasn't enough,
Yeah.
they got hit with increased competition.
Oh, brutal.
Which, I mean, Atlantic City's a tough market.
It's cutthroat.
So it was 1, 2, 3 punch kind of thing.
Yeah. A lot of places for people to spend their dining out dollars there.
Exactly. But let's end on a positive note because, it's not all doom and gloom. Right. There are places, obviously, that are doing incredibly well in New Jersey. So what are, some of the common threads that you're seeing among those who are really thriving?
Well, the ones that are knocking it out of the park, they're strategic.
Okay.
I mean, for example, let's talk about this fine dining spot in Hoboken that we looked at.
Okay.
They are pulling in over $2 million annually,
Wow.
and they're commanding $40, $80 a plate.
So they know their worth. They're not afraid to,
They know their worth,
put it out there.
and they have the product to back it up.
Right. So it's not just about, setting a high price tag. You got to.
It's an experience. They've got this reputation. The food is incredible, the service, the ambiance, and they've done a really good job of capturing both the local crowd,
Yeah.
but also the tourists. And they're very smart about their costs. They source high-quality local ingredients.
Sure.
So that helps them manage expenses while also, supporting local businesses.
Yeah.
Win-win.
There you go. So it's that combination, you have a quality product, you've got the experience,
Right.
but you're also really mindful of the business side of things.
Absolutely.
And I think another example that really stood out was this was a fast casual chain,
Okay.
and they're making waves in Jersey City.
Okay.
They started with a single location. Now they're up to 5, and each one is bringing in about $600,000 to $800,000 a year.
Wow, that's impressive.
That's pretty impressive, especially in that fast casual space, which is competitive too.
Yeah.
So what are they doing right?
So they have really figured out consistency and branding. Their menu, it's streamlined, focuses on fresh, high-quality ingredients, locally sourced as well,
Okay.
which helps them, minimize waste, keep their product consistent across all their locations.
Gotcha.
But they also have a really strong online presence.
Yeah.
Social media game is strong.
Gotta have it.
They engage with their customers.
Right.
And they've got a loyalty program,
Oh, smart.
which keeps people coming back for more.
It's so interesting to see how these successful spots, they're not just like resting on, oh, the food's great. They're really thinking about the whole picture, you know?
Right. They're thinking like business owners.
Exactly, which
Yeah.
is so key.
Yeah.
So for anyone listening who's like maybe taking notes right now, thinking, okay, I want to do this, what would be like your top piece of advice to them when it comes to like the business side of running a restaurant in New Jersey?
Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
you've got to be as passionate about the business side of things as you are about the food.
It's like you're shifting from a chef's mindset to an entrepreneur's mindset almost.
100%.
Right.
You're not just creating dishes anymore.
Yeah.
You're creating a business.
Yes.
And that all starts with understanding the numbers,
Yes.
your costs,
Yes.
rent, inventory, labor. These aren't just like line items on a spreadsheet.
Right.
This is the lifeblood of your business.
Yeah, you got to know those numbers in your sleep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to like constantly be looking for ways to like
Find those efficiencies
the efficiencies. Yeah.
because those little things add up. Right.
Big time.
Big time.
And we talked about location before, and that plays a huge role too.
Huge, huge, huge.
It's that balance, finding that sweet spot.
Visibility, but then also affordability
Exactly.
because, that can be a tough one.
It can be.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about growth.
Okay.
Because I feel like for a lot of people who get into this, especially if you have that entrepreneurial spirit, there's that dream of like, oh, I'm going to have multiple locations. I'm going to build an empire.
Barbara doesn't want to build a restaurant empire.
Exactly. But it's got to be done right.
100%.
So for someone who's thinking about that, what's like your advice to them in terms of like, when is the right time? How do you do it right?
Don't rush it. I think that's the
Yeah.
biggest thing I see, is people try to expand too quickly.
They get a little taste of success and they're like, let's go, let's go.
It's tempting. It's tempting to strike while the iron's hot.
Right. But if that foundation's not solid,
It's going to crumble.
it's going to crumble.
You've got to focus on building that strong, profitable business with your first location. Build that loyal customer base, build that reputation for quality and consistency.
Right.
Let that fuel your growth.
Build something that lasts. Right.
Exactly. Because the restaurant industry, it's not for the faint of heart.
No.
You're going to face challenges.
Oh, yeah.
So you've got to be prepared for the long haul.
No, I want to touch on one more thing because I think this is something that's maybe become even more important in recent years, and it's that whole idea of customer obsession.
Oh, it's everything.
It's not just about the food anymore, it's
Yeah.
the whole experience.
The experience is everything.
So how can restaurant owners, especially in a competitive market like New Jersey, how can they really like create that, for lack of a better term, stickiness with their customers?
You've got to give them a reason to choose you
Okay.
over all the other options.
Right. Because there's a lot.
There are a lot.
Right.
What makes you stand out?
Right.
Is it the ambiance? Is it the service? Is it the story behind your menu?
It's like you're building a community almost, right?
You're building a community.
Yeah. So we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
I feel like the big question that's probably on everyone's mind is knowing all of this, knowing the challenges, knowing the rewards, is it worth it? It's the question, right? And the honest answer is, it depends.
Yeah. It's not a one-size-fits-all.
No. It depends on your tolerance for risk,
Your passion.
your passion, how much you really, truly love this industry.
Because you got to love it.
You have to.
You got to be a little bit crazy.
Maybe a lot crazy.
Maybe a lot crazy. But for the right person, it's incredibly rewarding.
Oh, absolutely. And if you're listening to this and you're like, yeah, I'm still in, I'll leave you with this thought.
Okay.
In the New Jersey restaurant scene, the most successful owners, they're not just serving food, they're serving an experience. What is going to make your experience unforgettable? Answer that and you're well on your way.
I love that.
Find that thing that sets you apart. On that note, folks, there you have it. A deep dive into the exciting, challenging, always interesting world of owning a restaurant right here in New Jersey.
We did it.
We did it! Remember, knowledge is power, so take this, go forth, and make those dreams a reality. Thanks for joining us.